Rain whispered gently against the windows of the Bluebird Cafe, sliding down the glass in silver streaks. The early morning haze clung to the outside world, muting the city's usual bustle to a murmur. Inside, warm light glowed against aged wood and vintage tile. A bell above the door tinkled as it swung open and shut with each customer, but the place remained mostly empty, a quiet Thursday morning. Ethan Walker moved behind the counter with smooth familiarity. He wore a simple white shirt rolled at the sleeves, a dark blue apron with the cafe's bird logo stitched onto the chest, and a pair of faded jeans. He had that tired, honest look, the kind worn by people who knew responsibility too early in life. His hazel eyes were always soft, always alert. He set out the fresh batch of cinnamon rolls, nodding politely to the regulars in booths 1 and 2. Then he refilled the sugar container, organized the napkins, and brewed another pot of coffee. Each motion was habitual but careful, as though he believed even small tasks deserved full attention. A gust of wind stirred the door. He looked up as an old woman stepped inside. She moved slowly, deliberately, as if time no longer pressured her. Her coat was beige, almost perfectly pressed. Her round sunglasses concealed most of her face, and a wide grey wool hat added to the air of mystery. She didn't look poor, she didn't look rich either, just still. She glanced around the cafe, then quietly walked to booth 6, the farthest one in the corner, where light from the window caught the delicate lines on her gloved hands. Ethan approached, notepad in hand, and a gentle smile on his face. "Good morning, Mom. Welcome to the Bluebird Cafe. What can I get you started with?" She didn't remove her sunglasses, but turned toward him with a nod. "Just a cup of black coffee, please. Coming right up." He returned minutes later with a steaming white mug, placing it gently before her. She nodded in thanks and wrapped both hands around it as though trying to draw warmth from the cup into her bones. "You okay, Mom? Need anything else?" he asked, not out of obligation, but with sincere concern. She hesitated, as if surprised by the question. "No, thank you, young man. You're very kind." The moment settled into a calm, and Ethan gave her one last nod before retreating to give her space. She sat there for nearly an hour. Occasionally, she'd raise the cup to her. Lips sipped slowly, then set it down again. She didn't touch her phone, didn't read, just sat and watched the rain run its silver fingers down the glass. Ethan noticed her checking the small interior pocket of her purse near the end of the hour. Her face changed. She checked again, more urgently this time, then peered deeper into the bag. Her fingers trembled slightly. She closed the purse, placed it beside her, and looked up at him with visible embarrassment when he came by with the check. I seem to have left my wallet at home," she said, her voice quiet, as though ashamed to speak the words out loud. He blinked, then shrugged with an easy smile. "No worries at all. It's just coffee. Happens to the best of us." Her lips parted, slightly in surprise. "You would let me go without paying?" "Of course," he said, as though it were obvious. "You looked like you needed it." She stared at him for a long second. The cafe around them faded into quiet. There was a pause, not only of words but of thoughts, as if she was weighing him, searching for something deeper. "What's your name, young man?" "Ethan Walker." She nodded slowly. "Thank you, Mr. Walker. You may have no idea how much this means to me." Then she stood, adjusted her scarf, and with one last look at him, intense, grateful, full of things unspoken, she turned and disappeared into the rainy morning. 2 weeks passed. Ethan thought about her a few times, but life pressed forward. His mother's prescriptions needed refilling. Rent had gone up, the cafe's hours were cut, so he'd started working nights at the gas station on 49th and Monroe. Sleep became a luxury. His body hurt in ways it shouldn't at 27. Still, he served customers with the same steady energy. He helped a teenager with a flat tire outside the gas station. He carried a heavy box for the new bakery owner next door. And he always made sure the regulars at the cafe had fresh coffee before they even asked. On a dull Wednesday afternoon, just before closing, a man in a dark grey suit walked into the cafe. He didn't look like the kind who usually came here. He was too stiff, too clean, like a character that belonged in a corporate office. He approached Ethan directly. "I'm looking for Ethan Walker." "That's me," Ethan replied cautiously. The man reached into his coat and pulled out a sealed envelope, placing it on the counter. "This is for you, from Mrs. Cassandra Delacroix." Ethan frowned. "Who?" The man gave a short nod, turned, and left without another word. Ethan stared at the envelope. It was thick, cream-colored, with his name written in elegant handwriting. He opened it slowly. Inside was a folded letter and a check. He read the letter once, then again. "Dear Mr. Walker, 2 weeks ago, you showed me kindness when you thought I had nothing to offer. I didn't forget. I never forget. My name is Cassandra Delacroix. I am the majority owner of Delacroix International Holdings. I own properties, banks, shipping lines, and medical companies in 18 countries. But 2 weeks ago, I was just a tired old woman who wanted a moment of peace and a cup of coffee. You didn't judge me. You didn't ask for anything. You simply gave. You see, I've been searching for someone not driven by greed, someone who still believes in kindness. And now I believe I've found him. Enclosed is a check and an offer. The check is a small token of my gratitude. The offer is larger. If you're willing, I would like to meet with you again, to discuss a position I think only you can fill. Kindly call the number below. If your answer is yes, a driver will arrive within the hour. Sincerely, Cassandra Delacroix. Ethan looked down at the check. It read $250,000. He dropped into the nearest chair, heart racing, eyes wide, mind blank. The cafe swam around him. Was this a scam? A mistake? He dialed the number, hands shaking. A calm male voice answered, confirmed his identity and location, and said a driver would be arriving shortly. 40 minutes later, a black car pulled up to the curb. That night, Ethan found himself sitting across from Cassandra Delacroix in a room that smelled of polished oak and old money. It was high above the city, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a skyline that glittered like a jewelry case. She looked different now, formally dressed, elegant, composed, but her eyes were the same. She poured tea for both of them herself. "I tested you, Mr. Walker," she said. "Not for sport, for purpose." He sat quietly, overwhelmed. "I've built an empire," she continued, "but I'm tired, and my heirs, they are not people I trust to carry forward anything but their own vanity. I want to create something that lasts, something that matters." Ethan listened, still stunned. "I want to create the Delacroix Human Initiative. We will fund hospitals, build homes, educate children, but I need someone with vision and a good heart. I want you to lead it." He laughed nervously. "I'm just a waiter." "No," she said softly, "you are exactly what I've been looking for." Over the next year, Ethan's life became something out of dreams. He traveled across the country. He stood inside shelters in need of renovation, clinics needing expansion. He learned from architects, doctors, educators. He worked with Cassandra closely, learning not only business, but purpose. The two of them were often seen together, an old billionaire and her young idealist, talking plans over coffee. When Cassandra passed away quietly, a year later in her favorite chair, she left a letter for him. "You gave me peace," it read. "Now you must give others hope." She left him in charge of the Delacroix Human Initiative. She left him not money, but power, the kind that could change lives. Years later, reporters would ask him at conferences, in interviews, in books, how did it all begin? And Ethan would smile gently, with that same quiet grace he always carried, and say, "It began with a cup of coffee and a woman who was watching."